Thank you, Madam Chair, again, and congratulations on
Thank
your
you.
new position. And respectfully to my friend from Nebraska, there is no EV mandate. Doesn't exist. There is no EV mandate. It's not a mandate. It's a clean car standard. It's just technology neutral, driven by American innovation and the need to protect our environment. So there is no mandate. I have to keep repeating that every time. So again, Congressman, Project 2025 proposes to eliminate the Office of Enforcement and Compliance Assurance at the EPA. Do you agree with that proposal?
Senator, first off, I've never read any word of Project
No,
2025.
I'm not going to ask if you read it. But do you agree with the proposal to eliminate the Office of Enforcement and Compliance Assurance at the EPA?
While that is something that I had never thought of before you're asking that question, no. It's an important function of the EPA, and we've had good extended conversations here about that topic during today's hearing, Senator.
Okay, so again, that just prompted the question, and the answer is a very good answer. Thank you. On the EPA Clean Car Rule, it's projected to cut air pollution and prevent about 2,500 premature deaths in a single year. And over the life of it, it would obviously be tens of thousands of lives which are saved. And it would save drivers $46 billion in fuel costs, 15 billion barrels of oil that would not have to be used, and $6,000 over the life of the new vehicle. So if confirmed, are you planning to initiate a new rulemaking that could undermine those clean car standards?
Senator, if confirmed, I cannot sit before you and announce the initiation of any new rules. I have no announcements to make of rules that are going to change, and I plan on following my obligations under the law to ensure that throughout my tenure, if confirmed as EPA Administrator, that I never prejudge outcomes heading into that process.
Okay, well, again, the savings are quite profound for American consumers, dollars in their pockets, because of those much higher standards that don't require oil to be put into gasoline tanks, where we put about 70% of all the oil that we consume. In September, RFK Jr., the Health and Human Services nominee, went on the Dr. Phil show, and he said, quote, it's glyphosate, which is the active ingredient in Roundup. It's the pesticides, it's atrazine, it's PFOAs, the forever chemicals, where mass poisoning an entire generation of kids. Do you agree with that conclusion by RFK Jr. that these pesticides are mass poisoning the kids in our country?
Senator, I would welcome an opportunity to be able to read through all of the science and research that is being cited to support that conclusion, to be able to answer that question, following the review of that material. That's a review that I would need to I would need to engage in.
Yeah, it's obviously a very serious question, and it's one that hopefully would have the EPA working with HHS on a resolution of that issue. And in the 2.5 years since its passage, the Inflation Reduction Act has spurred the creation of 400,000 jobs and $420 billion in investment. 193 million of direct federal spending actually has gone to your former congressional district since 2022. So regardless of your stance on the bill back then, it did become law, and more than $68 billion has already been appropriated by the EPA from the IRA and the bipartisan infrastructure law. So are you going to ensure that EPA's ongoing implementation of grants, which have already been fairly awarded under existing laws like the IRA and the bipartisan infrastructure law, that they're not impeded or held up for political reasons.
Senator, my commitment is to follow the law as it relates to so much of what's getting discussed during this hearing. That is the obligation that motivates me. I have to be prepared to sit before this committee and be able to answer questions as far as it relates to funds that have gone out the door, not just currently, but also in the future. It's important for me to get my hands, my head all wrapped around everything that's been going out the door. Senator, I was concerned when there was a video a few weeks ago of a political appointee at the EPA who was talking about how they were tossing gold bars off the Titanic to distribute billions of dollars before Inauguration Day on Monday. I don't know at all what grants were being referenced with that repeated comment. It was also referenced in that answer to you and to answer to every member of this.
I just want to remind you that 80% of all of those grants have gone to Republican districts. So, so that's, I think, something that you should keep in mind in terms of, I would say, the impartiality of what those decisions have been at the EPA. That's not just some ideological set of decisions if 80% of the money is going to red states. So I guess all I would say is I heard what you're saying, but I just hope you would resist the temptation to hold a witch hunt and to, break out the torches and the pitchforks to go after all these programs, because I think they must have been pretty fairly, given out if a blue presidency at the EPA, led to 80% of the money going to red districts. So is that I just want a presumption of innocence from you in terms of the decisions that were made on
Right.
these.
Yes, Senator. I just want to be able to account to you.
I appreciate that, but I just need your
Yes, Senator.
your assurance that you do assume that most of this was done fairly.
Senator, I would only can assume. I can only assume as I sit here that upon review that there will be, I will find out about all sorts of funding that went out the door that was following the law as written by Congress. All I'm saying is that I want to have the ability to sit before Chairman Capito, who's been very vocal on this issue, and be able to answer her question on a specific grant that she's spoken out about, or grants that committee members may speak about in the future. I just want to be in a position to account to all of you as far as the dollars being spent by EPA. I can only assume that there will be funding that will be, from that review, that will be in accordance with the law.